Well, once again, Skeleton Crew delivers an episode that's pretty standard fare for what they've been doing. You have your pirate treasure pursuit and silly adventure and all of that. And, of course, once again, Jude Law carries the show with some help from the droid and the most interesting characters of it all. And prolonging the mystery. Of course, the overall mystery is their home planet of Adat, and they had no idea that this was some long-lost planet and all that kind of stuff. But also the mysterious pirate, who we do get to know his name, which is Tack Renaud. Never heard of him, but Crimson Jack did, and he's like even more intrigued about all this, that he was, of course, he was legendary and one of the most famous pirates and all this sort of stuff. And the ship they're on was his ship and all of that. So he had a secret base, and the droid knows where it is, so they go to it. Well, now it's this luxury resort. And, things happen when you when different hands get hold of the property and all that. So anyway, it's more of the same. So they go another destination, and there's all this silliness ensues. Crimson Jack runs into someone who recognizes him, and so here come the pirates, and they're nasty and brutal and all this stuff. They do find the secret lair of Renaud, and there's all kinds of traps and stuff they got to get through. They figure that out. And they get to the lair, and there's all kinds of stuff in there, including a lightsaber, and but also coordinates to Adat. So the boys are getting closer. And then there's the captain's log, and there's a holographic vision of Renaud himself. But it's distorted, and you can't quite make it out, because I think it's going to reveal that Wim's father is captain, and he went there. Now, within it, I thought ultimately what was the treasure that this legendary pirate wanted, and was it just this simple, boring life to raise his kid on? And that's the real treasure. But within the log, it's that there is the Old Republic Mint exists on this planet, where they create the credits. And of course, Wim had a pile of those, and and everyone was kind of surprised at them because they seemed to be new, and yet they're legitimate. And they think, wow, how can anyone have such pristine copies of these old, coins for, what have you? And of course, this is one of the planets that produced them. So Crimson Jack, Jod, whatever his name is, he's like, oh man, this is it. I got to get this thing. And so it goes dark very quickly at this point. First of all, he dispatches the pirates that are after them. One of the traps to get to the lair was this pool of acid. And, you had to go through some shenanigans to figure that out. So, they do. It drains it and all that. But once they're inside, and the SM-33, the droid, is logged into the computer system of the lair and whatnot, Jod realizes, hey, you can refill it, right? Yeah, so he does. And so you can hear the pirate screaming. And jeez. Then they're not done going dark there. It takes another turn where Jod decides, and this is of course, it's obviously some sort of rule he could have invoked early on as to why didn't he, when he could have just said, I want to take the ship, and he could have done it. So it's a bit shaky on that early on, that he could have done it unless he needed to find out more from them or what have you. But he really turns on the kids, and he invokes this rule of, if you challenge the captain of the ship to trial by combat, battle to the death, then you can become the new captain. So he calls this, and of course the droid's like, well, them's the rules, so you two got to fight it out. And of course it's Crimson Jack and the little girl. And he says, look, we don't really have to fight to the death. All you got to do is yield command to me, and then you're fine. And, well, she won't do it. So then he grabs her and pulls a knife to her throat. Wim's upset, so he grabs the lightsaber, and he thinks it's going to be this moment where he's going to challenge him to the lightsaber. But he doesn't know how it works, and he didn't realize he was holding it upside down, so he ignites it, and it hits the ground, and and ultimately the girl says, yeah, all right, yield, you're the captain. So he says, there you go, say easy. And then, well, there's trapdoors and stuff. The kids are aware of this because they discovered it earlier, and they escape through that away from him. Now, I guess he'll pursue them, but why? The robot recognizes him as captain. He can get the ship and be on his way. But nevertheless, I guess that's how the show ends. But, man, it had all this silliness and adventure. There's even a quiet, little moment between him and Wim where he's telling him, and he's, attributing it to his own harsh life that one can imagine he must have had or what have you, where he tells him, look, you just need to forget about your parents and friends and stuff, because that's going to hold you back, and that's how you deal with stuff, with, this hard life and everything. Because the kid's crying, I just want an adventure. Well, this is it, it's really bad and everything. On the other, and then he does this. Of course, he says, look, I was never going to kill the kid, and all that, but still, jeez. After he had just murdered all those pirates with acid, and of course, they were ruthless killers, so they probably had it coming. But nevertheless, jeez, So, would it go more to the boy, Wim, you need to wake up and stop being stupid and stop looking up to this guy and all that. There's other elements of when he appears to use the Force. Now, is there some trick? By now, you think they would have revealed something. He's got something in his glove or whatever. Because other times, boy, he really could have used it, and he does it, So I don't know. I mean, odds are it possibly would reveal that he had been like a youngling and was in training to be a Jedi. He either washed out or he's one of the ones that escaped Order 66, probably by outing the others, and burdened by the guilt or whatever, just decides he's a piece of crap and goes into the life of crime or what have you. I don't know, but it could be something like that, or it's just a trick. Or he learned a few things from some old Jedi, and he sold out the Jedi to Order 66, and then he realized, well, if you really concentrate, you can use the Force, But anyway, that's kind of a minor mystery, really. I mean, the main mystery is who's Tack Renaud, and my guess is the kid's dad. There's a little bit more scenes of him back on the planet as they're trying to break their rules to get a signal out in the hopes that they could find their kids and all that, and they got to be quiet because they're in it's all very seemingly sweet and benevolent and whatnot, but there is quite a tyrannical rule on the planet. And so probably more to this idea that there was this central planning exercise of several of these planets, and At-Aten is the only one that survived. So that aspect of it is also pretty interesting. But other than that, I don't know, maybe a little too dark there with that. But for the most part, it's just an okay show. It's not what Star Wars needs, of course. The damage to Star Wars is severe. But as it goes, I guess Skeleton Crew will be their distant third best. Andor is the best just out of intellect. Mandalorian is the best Star Wars series just for the adventure that it provided in its first two seasons. The third season just doesn't even count anymore. And that's about it. I guess a cartoon here and there, maybe. I don't know. But the rest are just garbage. And this one just somehow manages to stumble along. And that's about it. There's really not much else to say about it. But again, in comparison, wow, really good, but doesn't matter. The damage is done, and nobody's watching it except me and a handful of others, Yeah.